At 56, I find myself reflecting on a life spent adhering to the expectations set before me, a woman who has consistently followed the path laid out by others. Married at a young age, I nurtured 2 daughters and remained steadfastly loyal to my husband through every challenge and triumph. I held a conviction about the unruliness of routine, cherishing the life I crafted in silence, even as it diminished and became less enchanting over the years. To me, love was unwavering, neither exciting nor original, simply known. Yet an event unfolded recently, one that remains beyond my complete understanding. It unfolded unexpectedly. It was never intended to hold any significance. And yet, it prompted me to reevaluate everything I believed about my identity and the person I assumed I would always be. It was beyond my wildest imagination that an event like this could unfold in my life. Kindly avoid repeating the error I made. On a Tuesday afternoon, the sky hung heavy with gray, casting a forgettable pall over the day, as if time itself had decided to linger just a bit longer. Once more, my car had succumbed to its mechanical woes, marking the 3rd time this month. Meanwhile, Tom, my husband, found himself ensnared in meetings that stretched on through the afternoon. When his colleague Ethan extended the offer to drive me home from the grocery store, I accepted without a moment's hesitation. My acquaintance with Ethan stemmed from the handful of company functions I had participated in throughout the years. He was in his late 30s, younger than Tom, and spoke with a calm, assured demeanor. He consistently appeared courteous and considerate, the type of individual who would hold the door for you and meet your gaze when inquiring about your well-being. And though I had never pondered it deeply, I always observed how his gaze seemed to linger, not in an inappropriate manner, just a bit longer than usual. In the parking lot, we exchanged casual remarks, weaving a light conversation amidst the backdrop of our surroundings. He extended a hand to load my bags into the trunk of his silver sedan, which surprised me with its cleanliness, defying the typical expectations of a bachelor. "Are you certain this doesn't divert you from your path?" I inquired, easing myself into the passenger seat. He smiled. "Not at all. I reside a mere 10 minutes beyond your location. Provides me with a perfect reason to leave the office ahead of time." His voice carried a gentle quality, inviting and unhurried. It instilled a peculiar sense of safety within me, a sensation I rarely experienced around other men. With Tom, the essence of their connection had shifted to a mere exchange of actions. The mundane tasks of life unfold, grocery lists to be crafted, bills to be settled, and the dry cleaning awaiting collection. I held no bitterness towards him for it. Isn't that the essence of marriage after 3 decades? As we exited the lot, a fleeting ray of sunlight pierced through the clouds. The dashboard glowed softly, casting a warm light, and I caught Ethan stealing a sideways glance at me, his hand resting comfortably on the wheel. "You appear to be quite reserved," he remarked. I let my shoulders drop in indifference. Today has unfolded in a way that feels all too familiar. "You're familiar with the experience." He offered a silent acknowledgement, his gaze returning to the road ahead. Yet, there was an undeniable quality to his presence that enveloped the car, making it impossible to overlook. Devoid of romance, merely existing in the moment, absorbing the sounds around. We engaged in conversation about the familiar topics: the bustling streets, the shifting skies, a charming new bakery that had just opened on Elm. I couldn't help but chuckle more than I anticipated, particularly when he recounted the tale of Tom's attempt to repair the office coffee machine, which ended up flooding the break room. "He left that detail out," I remarked, dabbing at the tears of laughter that had gathered in the corner of my eye. "He likely omitted the detail where he placed the blame on the intern," Ethan remarked, a grin spreading across his face. I chuckled once more, allowing the silence to settle in. The vibrant hum of the city gradually diminished as we ventured into the more tranquil suburban expanse of Maple Lane. The houses basked in the warm embrace of the golden afternoon light, evoking a sense of familiarity and safety. At that moment, we found ourselves halted at a stoplight. We lingered in quietude for a brief spell. There was an unusual quality to that stillness, as if the moment had exhaled a breath of its own. Ethan glanced my way, not with any flair, not as if we were in a film, but just enough to connect with my gaze. "Could I pose a question to you, Sarah?" I nodded, a wave of uncertainty washing over me as my pulse seemed to echo in my ears. "Have you ever pondered whether you remain visible to others?" The question struck a chord deep within me, awakening memories from a distant past I had long since forgotten. "Observed," I echoed gently. He gave another nod. "What I'm saying is, beyond being a wife or a mother, it's about you as an individual." I averted my gaze to the window, watching the houses glide past, striving to maintain a steady tone. "Always," I declared. The light shifted to green, yet we remained still for a moment longer. He paused for a moment, allowing me the opportunity to elaborate. I did not. I was unable to. With a soft touch, he eased his foot onto the gas pedal, and the car began to glide ahead. Silence enveloped us for several moments. A shift had occurred in the atmosphere. Denser, more subdued. Yet my mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. The journey pressed on in quietude for a time, yet it was not a silence that yearned for words to break its stillness. It seemed as though a story was gradually revealing itself between us, with care and deliberation. I sat with my hands folded over my purse, gazing out the window, feigning admiration for the orderly rows of houses and the blooming lilacs gracing the front yards. Yet within, my mind wandered to a different realm altogether. Ethan's question at the stoplight echoed in my thoughts, much like a stone cast into still water, sending ripples that refused to fade. "Have you ever pondered whether you remain visible to others?" He had not intended it to come across as flirtatious. Perhaps he had indeed. Doubt had begun to creep in, leaving me uncertain. Yet, regardless of the circumstances, it marked the first occasion in years when someone gazed at me and didn't merely perceive me as Tom's wife or the woman who consistently brings potato salad to the cookout. As we made the turn onto my street, I cast a sidelong look at Ethan. His demeanor exuded tranquility and concentration. There was an absence of a smirk, devoid of any knowing glance. He had no intention of steering me in any direction. He had merely observed my presence. "Thanks for the ride," I murmured as he eased the car into my driveway. He left the car running, simply lingering in place. "Sarah," he said, his voice low yet firm, "I didn't intend to make you feel uneasy." "I trust that I did not." "I did not," I responded swiftly. "It's simply that no one has posed a question like that to me in quite a while." He turned his gaze towards me then, truly seeing me, and an urge surged within to occupy my hands, to find something for my eyes to focus on. Anything to ground my existence. "I've observed the manner in which you present yourself," he remarked. "A spark within you remains vibrant and full of life. Yet I have a feeling that you've been advised to keep it hidden." A warmth crept into my cheeks, not quite embarrassment, but rather a vivid realization of being addressed in a language that had long faded from my ears. Words eluded me in that moment. As my hand moved towards the door handle, anticipation filled the air. Just as I was about to open it, he asked, "If it's all right, may I walk you to the porch?" In that moment, uncertainty gripped me. The logical side of me, the one that handled finances, crafted birthday treats, and nudged Tom to remember his blood pressure medication, shouted a resounding no. Yet a different part of me, subdued yet more persistent, whispered in agreement. I nodded, confident in my agreement. As we made our way along the brief path leading to the entrance, anticipation filled the air. The porch light flickered, casting an erratic glow, and I resolved to ask Tom to fix it, though deep down I knew I would likely tackle it myself. I rummaged through my bag for the keys, the tension taut like a thread connecting us. Neither constricting nor unpleasant, merely delicate. "Apologies if I overstepped earlier," he remarked, lingering just a step behind me. "Text," I repeated, turning to confront him once more. In moments like that, uncertainty looms, leaving one to ponder the right course of action. He gave a slight nod, his hands tucked away in his pockets. At times, certain moments unfold to serve as a gentle reminder of our humanity, of our enduring capacity to experience emotions. Once more it appeared, that serene truthfulness, the sort that required no reply yet stirred a desire to respond regardless. "Thank you," I said, my voice trembling slightly. He gazed at me for a brief moment, then offered a soft smile. "Wishing you a pleasant evening, Sarah. And you as well, Ethan." He pivoted and made his way back to his car, while I lingered for a moment, key in hand, the front door securely locked behind me, as my reality subtly transformed. As I crossed the threshold, the house enveloped me in shadows. The lingering aroma of lemon cleaner filled the air, a reminder of the thorough cleaning that had taken place earlier in the day. I placed my purse on the counter and remained in the kitchen, absorbing the quiet around me. The moment lacked any sense of drama. In the conventional understanding of events, nothing had transpired. No boundaries breached. No kisses taken. And yet an event had transpired. A sensation that gripped my chest and pulsed through my hands. Ethan had caught sight of me, and now I found myself unable to look away from my own reflection. The subsequent days unfolded with an oddity that lingered, not overtly apparent, but nestled within the subtle nooks of my daily life. As I folded the laundry, as I strolled by the mirror, as I poured my morning coffee, his question reverberated through my thoughts, lingering like a haunting melody. "Have you ever pondered whether you remain visible to others?" It lingered in my mind with a soft, haunting presence. Tom remained oblivious to any changes around him. He seldom engaged in that activity these days. We had drifted into that stage of marriage where silence wasn't awkward. It was simply the way we connected. He would inquire whether I had settled the utility bill. I would inquire whether he were called to take the trash out. We lay next to each other, our backs touching, our discussions revolving around plans rather than emotions. I held no resentment towards him. I truly did not. Yet an increasing awareness began to stir within me, a feeling that I was fading away, initially in gradual steps, and then in a sudden rush. 2 days passed, and then Ethan sent a text. "Ethan, I hope this doesn't overstep any boundaries, but I'm about to head out for coffee soon if you'd like to come along. Take your time." My gaze lingered on the message, time slipping away as I absorbed its meaning. Perhaps I could have turned a blind eye, or maybe I should have, but I didn't. Yet, I refrained. Me? Where might that be? Our paths crossed at a quaint little spot nestled at the intersection of 5th and Lawson. It wasn't fancy. A quaint coffee shop adorned with ivy climbing its walls, where the morning light gently filters through the windows. I arrived early and selected a booth towards the back, motivated by a desire for safety and a wish to remain unnoticed. Upon his arrival, a look of surprise crossed his face as he spotted me already present. Yet, I found myself taken aback as well. He eased into the seat opposite me, offering a subtle smile. "We appreciate your presence here today." "I almost didn't," I said truthfully, stirring my coffee though I hadn't added anything to it. Indeed, a stillness enveloped the moment. Yet once more, it wasn't discomforting, merely reflective. "I've been reflecting on your words, and I've come to a realization about the importance of being acknowledged." He inclined his body just a touch, attuning his ears to the sounds around him. It dawned on me just how deeply I had longed for it. Not merely attention, but rather the act of someone recognizing, someone perceiving beyond the facade. He gave a slight nod. In the hustle of caring for those around us, we often overlook the importance of pausing to reflect on our own well-being. One can easily find themselves adrift. "I believe I lost my way some time back," I murmured softly. For a brief moment, silence enveloped us, words unspoken between us. Then, maintaining his tone and posture, Ethan remarked, "I don't want to complicate your life, Sarah. My purpose for reaching out was different. It's simply a pleasure to converse with you, that's all there is to it." It was the genuine quality of his voice that unraveled me, devoid of flirtation or implication. Simply the essence of human compassion. It felt unique, cherished in a way. We engaged in conversation for almost an hour, discussing matters that seemed trivial, yet held profound significance. The memories of our youth, the dishes that brought us joy, the melodies that accompanied our restless nights. I shared with him how I would often find myself dancing alone in the kitchen during those early years with the kids, a simple act that made me feel truly alive. He smiled as if it were the most enchanting thing he'd encountered all week. As we prepared to depart, a moment of uncertainty washed over us once more. That now familiar pause enveloped us, a gentle shroud of silence. As he swung the door wide, I found myself stepping into the warmth of the light. He looked at me and said, "Sarah, if you ever feel the need to share your thoughts or simply take a moment to breathe in a different way, know that I'm here for you." I nodded, maintaining his gaze for a moment longer than was perhaps wise. "Thank you for your kindness." We parted on that pavement, each taking our own path. There are no physical gestures, no vows exchanged, merely a shared comprehension. Yet, in the stillness of that night, as I rested beside Tom, his back facing me, his breaths came slow and steady. A sensation began to awaken within me. Neither guilt nor regret, only a sense of awareness. A shift had occurred, and after so many years, uncertainty loomed over what would unfold next. A week went by. Ethan was absent from my sight and silent in my ears. I also chose not to reach out. It wasn't a matter of desire, but rather a necessity to carve out some space to comprehend the turmoil within me. I moved through my days as if I were a woman holding an unseen inquiry close to my heart. The focus was never on Ethan. Not quite. The story revolved around my experiences. What had I transformed into? Who was I permitted to remain? As the sun dipped below the horizon, Tom ascended the stairs to catch the evening news, leaving me alone in the kitchen. I found myself endlessly wiping the already clean counter, lost in thought. The image in the window gazed back, a testament to time, older, gentler, yet undeniably present. Yet, there remains an individual. I reflected on the person I was years back, prior to the marriage settling into routine, before the girls embarked on their college journeys, before the silence grew so overwhelming. She twirled gracefully on the cool tile floors, left traces of her culinary adventures scattered throughout the kitchen, and lost herself in the rhythm of poetry as the night deepened. The woman had not simply disappeared. She lingered in anticipation. And somehow, a solitary inquiry from a man I scarcely recognized had shattered the barrier I had constructed around her. Under the cover of darkness, I approached Tom, my heart heavy with the weight of unspoken words. "We need to talk," I said, the gravity of the moment hanging in the air. We gathered around the dining room table, reminiscent of our younger days filled with dreams and limited means. I gazed at him, truly gazed. The man with whom I had woven my existence. The man who brought my children into this world. My companion. Even at this moment, I expressed that I've been feeling unseen. He blinked, taken aback. "Could you clarify what you mean?" "It feels like you no longer truly notice my presence." "I don't believe I've allowed you to." He reclined, arms crossed in contemplation. "What is the origin of this?" With a moment of pause, I weighed my words with precision. From a deep, still corner of my being that has remained silent for far too long. I kept Ethan a secret from him. It wasn't due to any secrets I was concealing. Yet, this was not a tale of another man. This was a reflection on the woman I had ceased to be. The woman I wished to hold in my memory. Tom cast his gaze downward, his fingers brushing against his jaw in that familiar gesture of uncertainty, a telltale sign of his struggle to find the right words. "I suppose I believed we had reached a place of comfort." "We exist," I declared. "Yet, I desire something beyond mere comfort. I yearned to experience the thrill of life once more." Silence enveloped us for what felt like an eternity, each moment stretching into the next without a word spoken. For the first time in years, we found ourselves fully present, united in a moment that transcended the mundane concerns of chores, schedules, and bills. In the end, he inquired, "What is it that you require from me?" "I remain uncertain," I murmured softly. "However, I must begin to uncover the truth." As dawn broke, I set out for a stroll. Without adornment, without a goal. Only the elements of air, sunlight, and the passage of time. As I journeyed along my path, I found myself passing the quaint coffee shop nestled at the corner of 5th and Lawson. My feet came to a halt, as if guided by an unseen force. I lingered for a moment, observing the ebb and flow of people as they passed by. As I stepped through the doorway, I entered the space. Ethan was absent. And oddly enough, I found a sense of acceptance in that realization. As I placed my order for coffee, I found a cozy spot by the window to settle in. I retrieved a notebook that had long been forgotten in the depths of my belongings. The pages lay empty, yet an air of possibility hung in the silence, suggesting the dawn of something new. Not of an act that is wild or taboo, but of an action that is essential. I was not in need of rescue. Romance and rescue were not what I sought. I simply had to hold on to the fact that I existed in this moment. I remained a sight to behold. As I savored my coffee and let the ink flow onto the page, a new realization dawned upon me. I had begun to recognize myself once more. And that sufficed.